So, here we are again with another one of these videos where I just talk about things. And in this case, I'm just yapping about Xenoverse 2 like how I've done multiple times on this channel before. But the difference with this one though is that I'm planning to say something that may be a little bit controversial. I typically fall back on these whenever I don't have any ideas for my main niche, which is Xenoverse 2 game music videos, and before you ask, no, I don't know when the next one is going to be. I mentioned this in the community post on here, Twitter, and now this video, but it took me 30 days to give a 30-minute video to enter 2026 for the last one, and it's needless to say that I'm fresh out of ideas for now. So just support the ones that I've made previously. There's going to be a playlist scrolling through all the videos that I made over the course of however long I've been making them for. There's going to be a card at the top right, it's going to be in the description, it's going to be towards the end of the video as well, and I will mention those videos again towards the end of the video. So at some given point during this video, you will be linked towards those if you want to watch them. And I wouldn't mind if you make more noise about it in the community as well. So the Genkidamasturi event is going to be something that's going to happen in a little over a week by the time I'm recording this video. And the announcement of a new Dragon Ball game project is going to be something that's going to be announced as well. And naturally this caused everyone to speculate what the new game is going to be showcased at this event. And a lot of people are hoping and theorizing that the next game announcement is a prequel to the Xenoverse 2 series. Ever since that whole leak happened, with the person claiming that they know stuff about a hypothetical Xenoverse 3 about 2 months ago, and because the announcement for this event was released a literal next day later, people have been making a lot of videos speculating about Xenoverse 3 being a possibility, or just straight up hoping that's what the game will be revealed, because it's been such a long time since Xenoverse 2 came out in 2016, and Xenoverse 3 can be the only thing that would make sense to announce at this time. Now, I need to say this as well before I get into it. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to think that Xenoverse 3 is a possibility for the new game announcement or anything like that. I'm just giving my personal perspective on what I think about Xenoverse 3 happening as a possibility, just like everyone else. Obviously, everyone is allowed to give their own perspective about things without being labeled as a villainous op just for having a different opinion. That should go without saying, but again, we live in an era where everyone is a professional at mental gymnastics, so you gotta be more than crystal clear nowadays. So here's the thing. Despite how long it's been ever since Xenoverse 2's release and the Future Saga story coming to an end after Chapter 4, I don't believe in a Xenoverse 3, and if it's going to happen anytime soon, I don't want it.
What? Why? Why would you say that? What?
Outside of the fact that the Future Saga is not done and we still have one more chapter left and even possibly more DLC after that, I'm just not convinced that they can make a fully complete, decent Xenoverse 3. I'm just not in that same boat, I'm sorry. I just don't trust them, specifically because of how they've been treating this game for the entire 9 years throughout all of its DLCs. Now, you might go, well, they've done a decent job with story and characters and content behind the DLCs recently, especially when it came to Future Saga Chapter 3, so why can't you see them making a Xenoverse 3 in the future? Because they need to focus on the existing shortcomings for this game rather than just expanding on just those 3 things every single time they make DLC for this game. Sparking Zero's DLC got a lot of criticism when all they focused on majority of the time was adding characters and ignored adding things from Budokai Tenkaichi 3 into Sparking Zero amongst other things.
But yeah guys, after what seems like eons, we finally have the latest DLC to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And I can honestly say that it looks good. Like, I've enjoyed what Spike Chunsoft has done with these characters in regards to how they animate, and I still consider this the best looking Dragon Ball Z game that we've gotten to date. But with that said, it seems like anytime they give us an expansion pack, they don't necessarily fix the issues that have been hurting the game since launch. At the end of the day, the ball is in Spike Chunsoft's court, and they're gonna have to figure out when they're gonna want to pick that ball up and get moving when it comes to producing things for the fans who are eagerly wanting more for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And sadly, they just haven't been able to meet our expectations. And this goes back to those issues that I was talking about earlier, where we don't have a lot of maps in this game compared to previous games from the yesteryear. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3 boasts by far some of the most vast array of maps in any Dragon Ball Z title, and given the fact that this game is supposed to be the spiritual successor of those titles, then you think that this game would supersede them or at least have a similar number of maps. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case.
The same goes for Xenoverse 2. I already went over it in these videos, so you can watch those for more context in short, and they will be on screen with the whole playlist and everything. But in short, In all the DLCs that we ever gotten for this game, we still don't have more customization features for CACs, 0 brand new race exclusive clothing for Saiyans, Namekians, Friezas, Majins, and Earthlings, no movesets for CACs or for characters that need it or just to have another one just for the sake of variety, the same raids that function the exact same as they did 9 years ago with no changes to the gameplay to make it different, no sign of getting rid of modders, aka people that cheat, nor making the online experience better, no innovative game modes like an official tournament mode, not limited timed ranked match, no attacks that you can change the color of, no equipable auras that you can put outside the lobby, etc, etc, etc. Like, there's still a lot of dumb things that they haven't addressed in this game yet. Outside of the story, characters, skills, clothing, and everything else that comes with Xenoverse 2 DLC nowadays, they still have been missing the opportunity massively over the course of many years with adding things that this game needs in order for it to be more expansive or to make things different to how they were back then. And I genuinely think that there's no reason to not address all of these things in Xenoverse 2 when it comes to its bottlenecks, especially when it's this old and they still decided to give us support after so many years. It just feels like they keep expanding on already existing content without actually adding anything new or innovative into a half-baked product, which naturally makes me go, well, if they already don't do stuff right with Xenoverse 2, what reason do I have to trust them with Xenoverse 3? Now you also might go, they can do that in Xenoverse 3. And I'm like, yeah, but like, they also could have begun to do that in Xenoverse 2 too. All the DLCs that they made for this game each had the opportunity to at least begin to address all of the missing things that Xenoverse 2 has. They could have been giving us more customization features, exclusive clothing for all races, etc, literally everything that I said before in each DLC. Because if they actually did that, that would be them acknowledging all the game's faults and addressing the things that the game needs in order for it to be better. If they had done that over the years, then I would have more faith in them into making a prequel, but as you know, they didn't do that. Or if they did, it wasn't in the way that people wanted. I feel like if they wanted to show us that they can make a prequel to Xenoverse 2, they would have done their best to notice the flaws in the game and correct them to some degree, because in that scenario it shows that they're noticing all the missing things in the game and adding to it over time with the release of DLCs that they didn't have time to add it in the official release, you know, when the game first came out in 2016. It can also lead to more people in the community building a little bit more faith in them into making a Xenoverse 3 if they address all the previous game's bottlenecks. Because how do you expect people to believe that you can make a prequel and take care of it as you continue to update it when you blatantly ignore all the problems from the previous game? Especially when that said previous game has been getting constant DLC over the last 9 years. It just doesn't make sense. Now again, you might say, well, we still have the Parallel Quest, Hero Coliseum, Raid Battles, and Festival of Universes in Xenoverse 2, and they give you more ways to play the game outside of PvP, so they have potential to add more of these into Xenoverse 3, possibly even more. And I'm like, yes, those game modes do exist, but the problem with those game modes is that they either don't change anything about them to make them different than what it was when it first released, refuse to update anything about them after 3 years, making a long, tedious, boring grind that goes on for too long, or sometimes all three of what I just said previously, which is pretty much what every single one of them has in some degree. In short, Parallel Quests function the exact same way with no new AI to fight against to make them more fun and entertaining, like the Cross versus AI. Instead, it's just the same AI CPU that's been in the game ever since the very start, the same AI CPU that you can pretty much predict what they're going to do because they're that predictable. The same thing goes for raids and how the way those work. Last time I checked, they haven't updated anything for Hero Coliseum ever since Hero of Justice Pack 1, even though Bone was screeching in your ear for you to check it out the second you load into the game. And Festival of Universes goes on for too long, that's only exclusive to online players, and still has rewards that could be way better than what they are. In fact, instead of making a video exclusive to Festival of Universes to continue the series where I yap about how Xenoverse 2 could be better, I'm going to take this chance to talk about that now and how Festival of Universes could have also been a great chance for them to make the game better even if they didn't want to do that for all the DLCs over the years. Or at least after Festival of Universes came out and then they decided to want to make more DLCs for the game. So remember the 7th year anniversary for XV2? On top of the Festival of Universes, Cross Versus, and Ultra Instinct for CACs, yada yada yada, everything that came with that, they literally could have done what Revamp 5.0 did and gave us a massive overhaul to the customization features for all CACs as a free update. Not paid, free update for all players, whether you're offline or online. They could have given us more hair/head types, eye types, body types, and ear types for all the races in the game, instead of giving us wigs for the last 9 years, being able to have us equip multiple accessories. They also could have changed the existing customization features/models to look different from how they were in 2015 and 2016, because remember, they reused some of the assets from Xenoverse 1 to make 2. And updating the models/features for CACs on a modern-day Xenoverse 2 would have been a great example of them ironing out that problem and giving us what Xenoverse 3 could potentially look like if they were to work on it in the first place. They also could have given us the option to pick tails for Saiyans instead of it being a dumb accessory, you know, a long, brown, flexible stick that just hangs out of your backside. They could have updated Saiyan CACs to have dynamic hair spikes for all their awoken skills instead of having it remain the same for all transformations outside of the hair color and outside of SSJ3 and Beast, but even with Beast, it's just Beast Gohan hairstyle for all the hairs. I feel like this would have been a proper way to celebrate 7 years of this game being out while also giving something ultra expansive to all players whether you're offline or online and can actually give the feeling of what Xenoverse 3 could look like if they actually updated all the features for all the CACs like I described earlier. That was the golden chance to have opened the visuals of what Xenoverse 3 could look like as a test in Xenoverse 2, then if it were to happen at all of course. They could have used what they did in Xenoverse 2 for Festival of Universes as a blueprint for Xenoverse 3 in this scenario, which can lead me to believe that they can make a prequel. Again, the auras that you get are only equipable in the least active place in the entire game, which is the lobby, and the colorable clothes that you get aren't even new clothing that we've never seen in the game before. It's just existing clothing that was already in the game, but they made a separate slot for the colorable variant, and that's it. If they really wanted to make the rewards more interesting, they could have made up a ton of different skills to unlock for CACs, new race-exclusive clothing that are colorable frame 1 upon unlocking, movesets for CACs and certain roster characters, and new customization features for CACs as Festival of Universes rewards alongside with the auras. Of course, the auras being that you can equip them in battles, in raids, and parallel quests, of course. Now you're probably wondering what do I mean by making up new skills for CACs? I mean like how they made up stuff for DBS Trunks, UI Goku, Vados, Supreme Kai of Time, and USV Golden Frieza and other characters that I'm not mentioning at the moment. Vados has a completely original moveset and skill set that was completely made up from scratch, and UI Goku has Godly Display, a Xenoverse 2 exclusive skill that he only does in this game and literally nowhere else. So it's not impossible for them to make up stuff for characters. So if they did the same thing for Festival of Universes in terms of unlocking skills for CACs, that would actually give people more of a reason to play this game mode more consistently. Like, if there was an attack named Big Bang Storm that was available for CACs and Vegeta, that's a way more dramatic version of Focus Flash that looks cool, functions well, and does decent damage, there you go. Immediately more people are interested. They could have done all the crazy stuff that Dokkan does when it comes to giving all the characters original attacks, like how they did with Blue Gogeta and Blue Vegito, with the Vegito special and the Transcendent Blazer for those two units, and for all the characters in the game that have original Dokkan attacks that they never did in the anime or manga. Because if there were skills in Festival of Universes as rewards that look similar to that and these that you see on screen right now, that would give additional reasons for people to play Festival of Universes a lot more often if it meant that they can unlock more stuff for CACs and custom partners. The same thing goes for new race-exclusive clothing or more clothing in general, new movesets, customization features, and auras that you can equip outside of the lobby. If Festival of Universes rewards had fits like these that you can wear and unlock if you played it, had movesets like these for CACs or certain roster characters, new customization features for all the races in the game, and cool auras that look like these, that's way more than enough to make Festival of Universes infinitely more interesting than what it is now. So, with all of that being said, in a hypothetical scenario, because again, they clearly have not done any of what I just said in the entire time in this game has existed. Well, in some cases they have, but again, they could do way better, but they haven't. With how the way that they've been treating this game over the years, even to this day, it really feels like they made a half-baked sandwich and wanted to change the flavor of the sandwich, not by changing the ingredients, but by putting occasional nice things next to it over the last 9 years, thinking that that's going to change the flavor of the sandwich. And I'm just sitting there like, that's not how that works. If you put nice things next to a bland half-baked sandwich, it's still bland and half-baked. What changes the flavor is the ingredients that you use to make the sandwich in the first place. And in this lengthy analogy, the sandwich in question is base regular Xenoverse 2, and the new ingredients that could have been added to make it better are the things that I just said previously in this video and in these videos as well as everybody else that criticized Xenoverse 2 and also made videos on it. However, that's not really the case. The various shortcomings that this game has holds its potential down at supreme levels, and it seems like they aren't interested in ironing out those shortcomings despite all the DLCs that were released for this game over the years. And because of that reason, I don't believe that they can make a Xenoverse 3 when they can't even get things right with Xenoverse 2. If I were a developer and I wanted to show fans of a game that I have what it takes to make a third one, I would show that in the previous one that continues to get support by addressing all the issues that it has. And I feel like that would make sense for any developer to do. Maybe if they decide to be more innovative and experimental with Xenoverse 2, if they have more planned for this game at all, then perhaps I would change my perspective. But safe to say that's not the case right now, at least with me. Because to me, regular Xenoverse 2 with no mods is insultingly mediocre. I say insultingly because for a game that's been out for 9 years that still gets updates even to this day, it should be better, and there's little to no reason for it not to be better. But again, like I said in the beginning, that's just me and my perspective. Feel free to agree or disagree, either one of them is completely fine. Honestly, I'm just giving my viewpoint about this since this is something that I thought about for a while as someone who makes content around the Xenoverse series, and this is also something that I thought about ever since that whole leak happened and everybody was talking about Xenoverse 3 being a possibility for this event. And before I get those people that are like, oh, well you're talking about how Xenoverse 2 needs to be better, and that's why you don't believe in Xenoverse 3, that means you actually are not a fan of the game and you hate it. And it's like,
No! No! No!
I don't hate this game. I literally have an entire niche centered around the modded version of this game where I make video game music videos featuring people's CACs in the community, and it's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. But I also want it to be better because it deserves to be. And it can't get better if you're constantly glazing it all the time while ignoring all of its problems. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be making content around it, nor would I be talking about it. It's just that the game needs to be better, and it's crazy having to resort to mods to fix 99% of this game's issues. So yeah, that's the end of this yapping bit and the conclusion to the series that I started a few months ago of me talking about Xenoverse 2. So if you want to see those videos more in depth, the playlist is on screen right now, also in the description and the card. I'm sure you'll find it in one of those. Also, if you're curious about the Xenoverse 2 music videos that I make on my channel, which gets the most views and attention, the playlist to them is also on screen. And if you want to know how to get your CAC the chance at being featured in a future video, then there will be a video on the left or right in the outro depending on where I put it. Speaking of that video, by the way, I plan on updating that soon in a 2026 version, since there was some stuff that I forgot to mention in the original one or new things that I need to mention in the new one. So you can expect that next. In the meantime, you can still watch the older one that I made back in 2025 before the 2026 one rolls around. So, in between waiting for this event or perhaps even afterwards, I hope you check out the Xenoverse 2 music videos that I made so far, because these take a really long time to make, especially that last one, so I would really appreciate it if they got more attention from people, including YouTubers in the community that cover Xenoverse in some way. So please, allow this outro to persuade you to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one. As for this event, we'll see what happens in terms of what new game is going to be. It's honestly a coin toss.